Welcome back to Tara's Voice, interesting people, irrelevant conversations. So, this is a little different today because I have Carissa on with me, but we actually don't know each other very well. I've been stalking her on social media, and I use stalking I have mixed feelings about that word. I actually was stalked, so I feel like that's not something you should joke about. But I literally was tracking her and following her social media, and I was like, this woman is so fun, so transparent, so relatable, so real. I was like, dude, you got to come on my podcast. We have to talk. And she's a Jersey girl, so I already know that we're gonna have a great conversation, right?
Yeah.
So Carissa, you put in your bio, and I haven't heard this term. You have to tell me what this means. She said, "I'm a 41-year-old gray hair nano influencer." What's a nano influencer?
So that is a influencer that's like under 10,000 followers. So I only
Oh,
have, yeah, then there's micro is like 10,000 to like 20,000. Then I think and then the other ones, I'm not there yet. So I don't even remember what those are called, but I'm small. I'm very small. I
okay,
only
guys.
have
So
like,
here's how you have to show some love. Like, this is about women supporting women. We're gonna have in the show notes all of her places that you can find her. Go find whichever is the one that is your favorite platform and go follow her. Let's get her out of this nano category and into whatever the next categories are. Okay. This is how women can support each other, right? Because she does all of this gray hair content. She's all about embracing people to be their natural selves. She does some really cool reviews on like beauty, lifestyle, some mental health stuff, like just her life, but in a way
all.
that's fun, relatable. Raw is a good word. So help a girl out, go find her somewhere, follow her somewhere. Let's get rid of this nano, okay? And then we'll be like, oh, remember when you were this nano?
I know. I mean, obviously, because I do a lot of UGC content as well. So that's why I have, if somebody doesn't know what UGC
I don't.
means,
I'm
that
like
means
learning all this.
user generated content. So it's,
Okay.
somebody sends me this mug and I basically make them like a commercial for their product. So that's a user generated content.
The
So
brand
that's why I have
influencer.
like nano influencer like on my thing because I want whoever is looking to, collaborate with me to understand where I fall in terms of
Here.
like metrics, like people, what kind of engagement I get. Even though I am small, I do get quite a good amount of engagement. So
So I'm going to say that we're not going to say you're small anymore, okay? Because you are an influencer. And here's the thing, right? What do influencers do? Influencers influence. And you
right.
influenced me to be like, hey, I want to follow this girl. She seems really fun. I think she's so much fun that I want to actually have a conversation and get to know her better and like share her with all my people, right? So to me, you're just an influencer. And I get why you need the
Thank
nano
you.
for but did you guys hear a couple of times Carissa said, I'm small, I'm small. This is like when I meet somebody and they start a business and they show up at my networking event and they're like, oh, I've only, I just started my business. I've only been in business for a year. And I'm always like, no. We're never going to say that again. You are going on a year. You are going
Yeah.
on 2 years. So you are a growing influencer. That's
That's
what
what
we're
I
going to
should be
say.
saying. You're absolutely, you know what? You're right. You're right. I do sometimes tend to have, I guess, what's the word? Imposter syndrome. Like
Oh,
like when
we
you
could have a
asked
conversation
me
about that.
to be on this, I was like, and I know you have like interesting voice. I'm like, I don't know if I'm really that interesting, but I'll go on it. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess maybe that's just me. That's my like own like insecurities in the back there, and that's also ties in the mental health thing. I'm an anxious person, so
Yeah.
I do overthink a lot, a lot, a lot. So
Yeah.
that kind of all blends together,
So
But you're
it's
right.
interesting. Yeah,
You're
well, it
right.
is interesting how we, present ourselves. And I will say that this is a conversation I have a lot with women, but men don't seem to have these same, issues. And it's kind of an interesting stat that was
Same for
alarming
the
to
gray
me.
hair.
Oh
What
my
about
gosh,
the
we have to.
double standard? What about
We
that double standard? I hate it.
just had interesting, do I say heated, do I say interesting conversation with my partner about this, because he met me when I was already gray, so I understand people who like, but I'm literally like, and I have a friend, she's going to be coming on, her name is Mindy, she was one of the ones, she is also a gray hair influencer,
Is it
and
Mindy Gale?
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
follow her. I
and
love her.
she was one of the
She
ones who
just
encouraged
she
me.
just did the whole growing out thing again.
Yes, I
God
know.
bless her. I tell you right now, like that that was a one and done type of thing for me,
I
man.
know.
That was rough. And I give her so much credit doing that for other, like, because that's for others.
And
Just
that is
doing that for
a
others to help
yes.
others feel confident about doing it again, like that. She's top tier.
So
Like
I have to
that's
tell you, when I wanted to get my hair gray, we're like never going to get to our question, but that's fine. When I wanted to get my hair gray, everybody I saw who was a model, who was in the beauty industry, who had gray hair, they all had blue eyes. So I'm just telling you, if
mm,
you have blue eyes and you think you're going to go gray, go grow because you're going to look gorgeous. Those are all the models, right?
I'm brown eyes, and
But I
everyone
have
told me
brown
it wasn't
eyes,
gonna be right.
and Mindy had brown eyes. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, huh. And I have curly hair. Right now it's straightened, but it's curly naturally.
Right.
And she's curly. And everybody was like, oh, with curly gray hair, you're going to look like a witch. And I was like, but Wendy doesn't look like a witch. She looks
Oh,
really good. And so we start messaging. And this was back when she was a Nano influencer. She had maybe 10,000 followers, right? Like,
right.
and it's been so fun to watch her, guys, because she's totally exploded.
She's so cute, and I love her
Yeah,
husband when they're doing their like,
but
they're
she's
like, because I know she has the
brown
new
eyes.
like Korean skincare line that she's
Hmm.
doing, and it's really really awesome.
But so
She's
you have
cute,
brown eyes. So I'm curious, did you ever think that because you have brown
super brown.
eyes
My
that
eyes are like not even dark brown. My eyes are like a light brown. So the brown really, it pops. And I mean, I have a lot, like you have a lot more gray hues to your, like you have a lot more gray hues. I have a lot of gray, don't get me wrong,
yeah,
but I do still have a lot of pepper. I still have a lot of my
brown?
brown hair. I have it more, I'm more localized like in the front, and I'm more
Although I think that's true for everybody because mine in the back isn't as
darker.
gray. And also, like if you pull up, like I have more gray under in here and
See,
around the
I
front of my
don't.
face.
I don't have it more under.
Oh,
I have it more in my like actual hairline. So when I was growing it out, I literally thought I was going to be white. Like I didn't even think I was going to have, because my hair, like every time
oh,
it would grow in, this was so light. I was like, oh my
wait.
God, I'm going to be like all white. And that is just so, I would have never known what I'd look like. And I tell this to everybody. You will never know what you're going to look like until it's full, like at least like almost 2 years in.
Yes, I totally agree.
Like you're not gonna
Yes,
know. Because when it was even here, I still couldn't even like, I felt like half a painting, like half a Picasso, like a
I feel like a
painting, you know what I
skunk.
mean?
I felt
Like
like
I
a skunk.
wasn't done. Right. And I
I
never
looked
knew
like a
what it was
skunk.
gonna look like. And people think I dye it.
That's
They're like,
fine.
oh, where'd you go to get your hair color like that? I'm like, what?
You're like, this is free, baby,
I'm like these,
free.
and I call my gray my moonlights. So I'm always like, they're my moonlights.
I
I
love
like they're
that.
my moonlights. They're like, well, what is that? Is that like a new hair
Is
tone? I'm
that
like,
a
no, it's
color?
moonlights. It's my freaking hair. It's my gray hair.
I think you need to make a shampoo line and call it moonlights. I had
I
somebody
swear.
say, yeah, I had
And
somebody
I
say gray
do.
hair was wisdom highlights. I was like,
You
I'll
know
take
what?
that.
I started. So I love, because I remember I this is my second rant. Like I tried to grow out my gray hair during the pandemic, and
Mm.
I was like this much in. And at the time prior to that, I had dyed my hair with highlight, like actual highlights to try to blend. And that's the biggest mistake that everybody makes, in my personal opinion.
Hmm.
Putting blonde in their hair to hide the white. If I don't know, do you follow? I'm sure you do. She's very big. Miranda Parker.
Mm-mm.
No, all right. So
Mm-mm.
Miranda Parker was one of the like first gray hair influencers that I ever saw, and
Now
her
you guys know
hair.
I'm definitely looking her up right now as we're talking.
She's huge. She's a big Amazon seller as well. She was the first gray hair influencer that I actually saw, and she really is the one probably who got me to be like, wow, I think I can do this. And she
Mm.
had mentioned that she told people to do low
Oh yeah,
lights.
she's got great hair.
Oh, her hair's gorgeous. And she told people that to do low lights, which never made sense to me, because I'm like, it kind of sounded counterintuitive to put more dark hair or dark color into your hair when you're growing. But she was absolutely right, because there's so many other, like, now people specialize in letting,
Hmm.
the gray blending and all that stuff. And I see it. And so the first time I did it, I had all that blonde. It was like dead. And like, I couldn't even see where, like, It looked horrible. It was crazy. And then I couldn't stand it because I didn't like the way it looked. And I dyed it back dark again. And then I let it grow because I liked the way the white and the brown looked opposed to like white, brown, caramel, orange. I looked like an Australian shepherd. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
how all those colors go together. It looked crazy. So.
Okay, so I have a question. Did your hair change like the texture now that it's fully grown out? How did it change? Because mine did too, but
So,
in a
well,
good way. I felt mine changed in a good way. They told me it was going to change in a bad way.
at first, I was like, oh, I hate this because my gray was so wiry and so
Oh,
like growing in, like compared to my other hair. And I used to get keratin treatments and stuff like that. So like my hair was like super soft, but I was losing a lot of my hair. Like my hair was not healthy when I was obviously dyeing it, right? So when it was first growing, I like even like halfway through, I would get keratin treatments to chill out the the flyaways, which we still get. Anybody who's I call them moonlight sisters instead of silver sisters. Anyone's a moonlight sister knows you need some kind of what is that, pomade to like bring down your crazy little
okay.
gray flyaways. But I would say after about a year and a half, because now I'm 3 years in, my hair has never been so beautiful in my life. And I mean it. I still have some of the crazy flyaways because it's just the nature of the gray. It's just the
Yeah.
way it operates.
And I think
But
curly hair is more like that too.
right, and I straighten my hair too. This is actually straight, and then I use the crimper
Oh,
because
okay.
my own curls are like I look like I stuck my finger in a socket. It's no
Oh my
good.
gosh, that's so funny.
It's like the old perm. It's not curly. It's not wavy. It's like in between.
So I do straight in the winter, curly in the summer
Sorry,
because in
that
the
was
summer,
my.
that's okay.
Let me
In the
put
summer,
a.
I just let it,
Hello?
yep. Can you hear me? Oh, we think we might have lost her, guys. Hold on. Let's see if she's on her way back. So we'll give Carissa a chance to kind of come back in. We didn't even get to our question yet, but I'll be curious in the show notes. How many of you have thought about letting your hair go gray? Because one thing that's very interesting to me is I get people all the time who come up to me and say, I wish I could let my hair go gray, but my husband would kill me. That is probably one of the most common things that I get, which is kind of an interesting. I always think to myself, really, your bald husband, your gray husband? What are you talking about? But okay, she's back. Let's bring her back on camera.
Sorry, I don't know
That's
what
okay. You're good. We're
happened.
still going. So we're just back. But I was curious, with your hair, like what made you initially decide, okay, I'm just going to grow my hair out and see what it looks like?
I could have dyed my hair. All right, so I've been dyeing my hair since I'm in my late 20s. I've had gray since my late 20s. I, at 36 or 37, I could have dyed my hair every 10 to 12 days. Like it was getting ridiculous. And I also am allergic to a lot of dyes, so I have to use dyes from the salon. So then it was getting very like, it was getting pricey, number one. And then number two, I would dye it and then in a week I saw white and I'd have to use that like the cover up spray and all that other
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And I just kept saying to myself, what am I doing? Like it
Hmm.
was just it was a waste. I'm going to be, truth be told, if I would have got like 3 to 4 weeks out of my hair, I probably would still have been dyeing my hair. So I'm glad that it did that though, because I'm glad that I've embraced this. Like, and my one
Okay, so what
girlfriend,
is your
Jessica,
husband? What is your, let's free time with Jessica. What does your husband say?
he doesn't care. Like
He
everyone's
doesn't.
like,
Okay.
oh, what about your husband? What is he about?
Yeah.
He thinks I'm beautiful regardless of the hair or anything. I'm
Okay.
the more of the honest and truthfully, I'm more of the critic, and I think that is honestly everybody. I think
Hmm.
women are more of the critics about going gray on themselves. The husbands don't care.
That's interesting because when you went off and fell off for a second, and one of the things I said is probably the most common thing people have said to me is they'll be like, oh my gosh, I wish I could let my hair go gray. My husband would kill me. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. Like,
My husband.
like on the regular, I hear that. And I'm like, and so I was saying before, I was like, yeah, your bald gray husband, that's the one that doesn't want you to go gray. Like, what are you talking about? Right. But I
The
hear
one
that
that
over and
doesn't do,
over.
like, I don't get it. Like, I really
Wow.
don't get it. And that's that societal brainwashing
Well,
stuff.
so this is where Jack and I just had this conversation the other night and it did not go well. But we were talking about this because I met this beautiful woman. And again, she was like, oh my gosh, I wish I could let my hair go gray, but my husband would kill me. And I'm thinking, and exactly what Carissa said, I think is right on. You do not know what it's going to look like until it fully grows in. It is not going to look, you're going to think it looks, however, it's not going to look like that. You have to wait till it actually grows in. And I think too, I went cold turkey because I felt like if I transition it, I still don't know what my gray looks like. All I know is what the
Exactly,
gray
because
at the
it's going to grow
salon
in
looks
different.
like. Right.
Right.
So I went kind of that cold turkey, looked like a skunk. It looked crazy, whatever. I thought it was going to take a year. It does take 2 years,
A
sadly.
year to the ear. Year to
Yeah.
the ear.
It really was not going to be that year that I thought. So it was rough. And I wasn't committed to it. I was like, all right, well, if I don't like it, I can always dye it back, right? Like it's
That
not.
was also my mindset, because obviously this was my second time round.
Yeah.
I did dye it. So I was like, if I hate it that much and if I really can't stand it, I'll just throw dye on it.
Yeah, and I'm not
But
saying I would never dye again. I don't think I would do all over again. I could see if I started to get super, super white, maybe putting some low lights in it to give it more
right,
like
dimension.
dimension. But it's a lot softer than it was. It was getting,
Right.
and I was getting it professionally dyed, and it gets like brittle and dry. And it's just, I don't care. Even if you're getting it done professionally and spending a lot of money, it's just not the same as when there's no color in it. But
Absolutely.
Jack was saying, well, you have to understand that, society is that women look old. And I literally was like you. I said, I got my first gray hair at 17. I was gray in my 20s. How is that old? Because I
It's
had
not.
gray hair in my 20s. We have created a society that equates gray hair with age, but gray is just a color.
But
It's
we only
not.
have society who equates gray hair with age for women.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't fall. They are distinguished. They
Silver
are silver
fox.
foxes. They
Yep.
are like, no one would dare say, oh, go dye your hair. Because first of all, and I think the reason why men can get away with it is because men get a haircut what? Every, I
Probably
don't
over a
know.
couple of weeks.
Right. So if they were dyeing their hair, they would have literally, because it's short and because it's growing so fast, they would have to dye their hair like literally every 7 days.
I never thought of that.
Right? I used to think about this was just something that was going through my head, and I'm like, because of me, when I had mine that was so bright in the front, I go, God, I'm doing it every 10 to 12 days. If a guy was doing it, their hair's short. You could get away with dyeing your hair because you're only doing the roots. The rest of this is all dark. So, like, if you're just hiding that a little bit, they can't get away with it. So they never even tried. So they were always allotted to be
Interesting.
like, right? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. That's just
Yeah,
my idea of
I've
it.
never
But
thought about that.
like,
Well,
if they have to dye their beard, you know how often they have to do
yeah.
that?
Yeah,
They must be brushing a dye on it every like 4 to 5 days.
well, I think that one of the reasons we equate gray hair with age is because so many people dye their hair. So, like, I've always said, hey, if everybody would just stop dyeing their hair, then gray wouldn't look old because we'd all look the same, right? And
I've said that
Mindy
too
said this. I was
in one of my
shocked.
videos.
Right? Like it's like we
Somebody,
should just all stop. But Mindy said this in one of her things. She was replying to like nasty Instagram comments. And I haven't had that. I will say I've been very
I
fortunate.
do.
I've never had it. It
I do.
shocks me that you guys get that because nobody says that to me. I don't know. Maybe I just whatever. So somebody said like you just can't hide it. You look old. And I'm thinking to myself, if somebody said to me you look old, I'd say like, no, I look like I'm 47 because that's actually how old
I am.
I am. Right. So like how do I look different than what I am? This is what 47 looks like.
It is
We just
so
forgot
funny that
what
you say
47
that.
looks like, right?
It's
What
so
kind of
funny that you say
comments do you
that.
get? I want to know your hater comments.
Oh my God. Go on my TikTok. I
I've
come
never
back at them
gotten
because,
this.
and everyone says to me, why do you come back at them? Just ignore them. I'm like, no, because you know what? it works in my favor.
Mm.
It works in my favor. It gets people.
You're like,
First
help
of
my
all,
algorithm.
exactly. They help my algorithm. And people get their, for lack of a better word, panties in a twist. And they're like, no, she looks great. No, don't do that. And I'm like, yeah, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Like, I love it. I love coming back at them because
I have to knock on wood. I'm knocking on wood right now on my wall because, oh, that was probably bad. The dogs are going to stop barking now. See, now they think somebody's going to attack me.
Mine are
Okay,
in the
guys,
bed.
sorry I knocked on the wall. But
Mine are in the bed.
I haven't had any
I've had
negatives.
tons. I've had people
And
ask some
mine's a lot more
seriously
gray than
crazy
yours.
questions. I have like I know this sounds crazy, but like on my TikTok, you know when you can get like you'll get a bunch of comments
Mm-hmm.
and like then you can reply to a comment with a
Mm-hmm.
video. So a lot of times like because I don't want to sit there and like if I see a comment that I'm like, oh, I want to go back and like come back at those people, but I don't want to do it right now. I will go to record a video through that comment and not record anything, just like record nothing, like my face there for a minute, and then I'll save it as a draft so that when I'm ready, I can go back at them.
Hmm.
I know it sounds weird, but I do it so that I can remind myself
Right,
and
so
I
you
can look
remember.
back. So like there's one literally sitting in my drafts right now that says, well, you look 41. And I put, yeah, that's because I'm 41. Like, so it's funny that you said that. Like, yeah, I am 41.
And I
Like,
have to say, if you guys are watching and you're not, if you're listening and you're not watching, I actually don't think, if I saw you, I would think you were in your 30s, probably early. I would put you between 30 and 35. If I really like didn't know that you were 41. So I'm actually really surprised that somebody, and I guess this is the thing also, I think we have forgotten what people actually look like because so many people are doing so many procedures to look younger, right? And so we've actually kind of forgotten like what does it look like to look 41. And I guess my other thought on that is why is that bad? Because the alternative is if I'm not 47, it's because I didn't make it to 47. And you know what? I have
that
friends who
means I'm
didn't make
dead.
it to 47, right?
Right.
Like I don't want to get emotional, but like I have friends who didn't make it to 47 who were my friends. And so I'm grateful that I got to 47
47.
and I hope I get to 57 and 67. And it's kind of like when people say to kids, oh, I just, they're so little. I hope they never grow up. As a cancer mom, let me tell you that hits in a
That
different way because you're like, yes, you do.
you do.
You want your children to grow up because I have friends and their children will forever be
So do I.
17 and will forever be 9. You like, I want, it just, and so I guess I hear that differently when people are like, oh, you don't want to look 47. I'm like, well, what's the alternative?
Right. And for the sake of being completely transparent,
Yeah.
I am not, I mean, look, I am all about do what you want to do, age how you want to age. You want to go gray, go gray. You want to do Botox, do Botox. You don't want to do
Well,
Botox, don't do
you
Botox.
just were so
I
brave
just did
too.
my Botox.
I saw
I
this is why I'm
do.
like,
I'm
I
not
told
one
you I'm
of these.
stalking her page.
That's okay. I'm not one of the gray hair influencers that are. I honestly didn't, and I know this might sound bad, but I really don't care because it's my part of my journey. I did not embrace my gray to embrace aging. I embraced my gray because I was tired of dyeing it.
Dude, I get that. I am fighting the aging. Like I'm scared. So I'll tell you, I'm scared to do the Botox because I have the lines on my forehead and I hate them. I'm like, hey, I pull my forehead up and I'm like, why are they there? I'm doing everything I can to avoid ejecting them. But so I get that. Like here we are talking about like
And
aging
that's
gracefully.
okay. That's
Well,
okay too. Like it's not for everybody. And if you look in or like let's say someone who looks in the like Beauty Debut. Do you follow her?
mm-mm.
She's another beautiful, beautiful silver sister. She's been in the beauty industry for like over
Now I'm checking all these
30
people.
something years. She used to do Botox. She used to do all of that. Even silver lining. She's another one. They don't do any kind of things like that. They take care of their skin and use like, skincare and stuff, but they don't do any Botox. And I think that's fantastic. They look in the mirror and they are happy. My whole thing is I need to look at myself. This was my whole thing when I wanted to grow my gray hair. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like my who I see when I look in the mirror.
Mm.
Like I was afraid I wasn't gonna like who I saw. And I'm not saying like I'm very nitpicky. I pick myself apart. I
Yeah,
really do.
guys, if you're not watching this, Carissa's absolutely beautiful. Like, absolutely. Like, I think one of the reasons that you have such a following and are not going to be this Nano insular for very long is because you are. Like, there is something to be said that women who are attractive, let's be real, social media loves attractive people, right? Like, let's
They
just
do.
not.
You're
And
not
so
wrong.
if you have gray hair and you can be like, hey, I am still beautiful, even though I'm kind of defying what you picture aging, people gravitate towards that, right? I mean, these are the women that I followed that I felt confident to go gray because
Same.
they were
Same.
beautiful and gray, right?
Same. When I saw Miranda, I was like, oh my God, she's
Mm-hmm.
gorgeous. I said, she looks beautiful. And her hair is like this beautiful shade of like chrome. And I thought of the moon when I saw her. That's how I
Mm-hmm.
started the whole like moonlight thing.
Oh, I
And
like that.
I was just like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. So it was the same thing. I just, for me, it's all a matter of makeup, no makeup, Botox, no Botox, this, that. I get up early in the morning because I want to make myself look good and I want to feel good when I look in the mirror. Some
Yeah.
people don't care. They're like, you know what? I don't care. I'm just gonna throw my hair up and a thing, and that's fine too. You have to do whatever makes you feel good and whatever makes you feel like when you look in the mirror. Okay, I look good today. I'm good. I'm gonna go. Like,
Well, I think the issue that I have is not so much like I openly, if I wasn't terrified of Botox, I probably would have done it because I hate the forehead
well,
line.
I'm terrified to get it here. I was said it in my story. I have this big, like, what do you call that?
Line on your
Band,
neck.
like a platysmal band. And
Okay.
and I'm telling you, I know probably most people don't see it. Everybody tells me
I'm looking
that
at her neck like,
when
what?
I, well, I did have Botox near my chin, so that snatches up your chin. But there is a big, I have a very large line in my neck. And when because I'm on my
Remember
video
all the time. Yeah.
all the time, all I see, I don't see me talking. I see my neck going, meh, 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 meh,
Oh my gosh.
and that's what I see. And it's stupid, but I'm afraid. I will not put Botox in my neck. People do it. People do it and they're totally fine and their necks look great. I know me. I'm anxious. I
Mm,
am literally, you put Botox in my neck, I'm gonna be like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. So I'm not gonna do it
not
to
gonna do it.
myself.
Yeah. You gotta find a different thing. I think the issue I have more with it is not the procedures, it's the pressure that women feel
It's true.
to look young that I do think there is, some pressure on men. I think it's becoming more. I will say, I think there's more pressure on men probably in our
Yes.
generation than there was before because men are also doing these procedures.
Yep.
But it's this almost, it's unacceptable to be old as if old was ugly. I think that's what it is for me. I'm trying to put this together in my mind is that why does old equate with ugly? Why can't old just be, I'm 47
Different.
or
It's
57?
just
Now
a
with
different
you,
kind of beauty. I
right.
always consider it that it's a different kind of beauty, just like your love when you're with somebody over time changes into a different kind of love. It's
Hmm.
not the same love when you were young, it's a different love. And when you age and you're older, it's just a different kind of beauty. It's a different kind of beauty. Because if
Hmm.
we didn't, if we all just stayed the same, I mean, I'm saying this, but as much as I'm saying this, I'm trying to fight Father Time in the worst possible way. Like I
Yeah,
want to
of
like
course.
drop kick, I want to like drop kick him. But at the same time, if we all just stayed young all the time, always, that would get pretty boring. And
Well,
life, my husband always says, because I always like freak out about, now I'm like at 40, I'm still young, but let's just be real. We're halfway through. If I'm lucky, I'll get another 41 years. So I'm halfway through my life. That's how I see. I'm halfway through
yeah.
my life. And he always says, but Carissa, if we if we don't get to the end of our lives and essentially we don't die, life wouldn't be beautiful anymore. That's why life is beautiful because you have this beginning, middle, and end. And that's the same thing with the aging. You're going to have when you were little and you were like the cute little baby fat and all that stuff. And then you're mid when you're young. And then you get old. It's all part and parcel of living.
I think, it's interesting. My mom used to say to me, one of the things that was tough for her was she would go out to me when we would go out when I was like a teenager and in college. And she's like, I was used to the men looking at me. My mom was very tall. She was very thin. She had the long brown hair. She goes, and now they look at you. And I remember being a teenager and being like, that's weird, mom. Why would men be looking at you? Right. But not really
Right.
understanding. And my daughter's now going to be 19 soon. And
Get
now
it.
I know when we go out, I'm the gray haired mom and she's the young, beautiful, teen. And I'm
Everybody
like,
has their
first of
time.
all, right. And first of all, I'm like, you're looking at my daughter, I'm ready to fight you, right? But like, she went
My daughter's
yesterday.
12, so we're not there
Oh my
yet.
God.
I'm
I'm
not
like, who
ready.
are you looking at, buddy? Who are you looking at? My like crazy mom. But
Mama bear comes
yesterday,
out.
she came downstairs. She had to go out and she had on this dress that I used to wear, like not that it feels like not that long ago. It's
Right.
probably like 15 years ago to the clubs, like in my early 30s to the clubs. And now I can't even get like one leg into that dress
Oh
anymore.
my
And I'm
God.
looking at this dress and I'm looking at her and I'm going, first of all, how the heck did I ever get that on my body? That's number one. And then I'm like, oh my, like why are you living my life? Like they went to, wherever they were for 4th of July, hanging out at the beach, Jersey Shore, the whole thing. And I'm like at home doing nothing. And I'm like, why is she living my life? Like, when did that happen? When did
I
she get
know.
the fun life? And now I get the I'm home with the
I
dogs
know.
life.
We're all just on a sliding conveyor belt that we go click, and we click into
Yeah.
the next stage, and then we
And I'm like,
click into the next one.
try to
And
be grateful. Oh,
my mother, and I have a trouble, same thing with that. I'm an only child. I have no siblings. I have, my
hmm.
dad was never in my life. So my mom is like my she is my world. She is my mother. She's my father. She's my brother. She's my sister. She's everything. So, and she was always so put together. I get my wanting to take care of myself from her because she was always, oh, Carissa, take pride in the way you look. Don't go out looking like this. Don't go out looking like that. Like she always did. And even now, she's 65. And when I tell you, she's so freaking fierce and fat and sassy. Like she's actually more extra than I am, if I'm being honest. And hey,
Now I want to follow your mom. Is she a Nano influencer?
no, but I could I'll send you some pictures of her. You're gonna be like, she's 65
Oh my
and she's
God.
so cute and she's so like hip and whatever. But like she was saying the same thing to me, like all of my nanny 2 years ago, she passed away. And my nanny and my aunt, my great aunts, like everyone was like, not too long ago, all my great aunts were alive. I saw them as my aunts because I was always older. I didn't even have like cousins my age. And now everybody's gone. And my mother was like, "Yep, I've moved." She's like, "I moved right into now it's my turn. Now I'm in nanny's position, and it's scary. It's scary because now
Yeah.
I'm in my mother's position. Like we're all just like
Yep.
like I said, like locking into the next like section. And it is, I mean, it's scary. I mean, it is scary, regardless of, the fact that it's happening and there's no stopping it. It's still damn scary,
I think it also happens so fast, and I don't know what this is, but
Yes.
I do feel like as I've gotten older, time gets faster.
And this is now I'm the same way. And this is uh, my 2 cents of it. I think that when we're young, everything goes slow because we're waiting. We're waiting for something to happen. We're little and everyone tells us you can't do that to your little. You're not an adult. Oh, I can't wait till I'm 18. So when you're 18, you're like, oh, I can't wait till I'm 21 so I can drink. And then when you're 21, I can't wait to meet somebody and get married. Oh, then I can't wait to have a baby. Then I can't wait. And whenever you can't wait for something, doesn't it take like forever to get here?
Oh, this is
Does
interesting.
doesn't it take forever to get there? And then I think once you've like after I had my kids and like I got past the point, like, and even then you have your kids, they're at that stage where you're like, oh my God, they're walking around. You're worried they're gonna hit their head. Oh my God, I can't wait till they start walking stably. And then when they start walking, oh my God, I wish I could keep them there. Like, and everything just starts going like on friggin' fast forward. And now where I'm at, I don't want it to go faster. So now, because I mean, I'm looking forward to other things. I don't want to say
Yeah,
it like
but
I'm
yeah,
not
you
looking forward to like my daughter getting married or like things like
no,
that
but I
eventually.
get that.
But when I say I'm not looking forward to being a grandma, I just mean like, because I know when I'm a grandma, I'm getting towards the end. So
Yeah.
I think when you're young and you're getting to like this part, you can't wait to get to this part because there's so many awesome things that are like in
Interesting.
between. that you're
Maybe
not
that's
waiting
true.
for.
I just saw a TikTok, and I'm at this age where like premenopause is a real thing. So I just burst into
Uh,
tears for no
I was just going to
reason.
tell you, I'm sweating. I am literally like,
Oh,
I'm
he's
sitting
like,
here
I'm
while
sweating.
you
Nobody
can't
would
see it, and
know.
I'm going like this. I'm
Nobody would
dying,
know.
and I'm
That's so
41.
funny. Well, I saw this TikTok and it was like the hardest thing about being a mom is raising someone who you, I'm going to start crying now. Oh my God, this is like real, these hormones. The hardest thing is being a mom is raising someone you can't live without so that they will be independent and be able to live without you. And I'm sitting there and all of a sudden I'm like by myself crying in my phone. And I'm like, what is
Oh
wrong
my
with my
God.
life? Like, I'm about to
No,
cry right now. I'm
no, I
like,
know.
oh my gosh, this is, and I just, it's interesting. They talk about all these support groups. I say this all the time. They have all these support groups for young moms, right? When I was a new mom, I had all these support
Oh,
groups. I was in
yeah.
MOPS, all that. I need a freaking support group now. My daughter started
Perimenopausal
college,
moms.
and I'm like, I need
Or
my kids in
menopausal
college,
moms.
and I have premenopause, and I need a support group. Like,
It's true. And it's
it
so
is
not
so
even
hard.
like, it's not like studied enough. It's just not.
Oh my God, it
Because you
is
go to all
so
these
hard.
doctors, oh yeah, your hormones are fine. I'm like, no, they're not. My hormones are not fine. I'm actually, and I have sitting in my room a package from Winona. I'm partnering with
Oh, you
Winona,
are. Oh, you have to tell me how you like it.
but this is it. This is my toxic trait because I'm so anxious. I'm anxious to take it. It's sitting in the bag.
This is kind of
I'm
funny. I need the stuff for my anxiety, but I'm too anxious to take
What
it.
is the matter with me? I emailed them. I said, yeah, I'm 41. I'm looking into this. And I've been looking into it a while. Like I haven't been like just thinking. I've been reading about it for like over a year. And I'm like, all right. And I got it in, and then of course you open the box and you read the bag, and it's like a million effing side effects. And I'm like, then my anxiety's going, oh, I don't know if I want to take this. And then I get nervous because I am a very anxious person. I've suffered from GAD since I'm 18.
So that's not new.
No, no. I've had anxiety since I'm a little girl. Since I'm
Wow.
a little girl, but we did not the 90s, you didn't know what it was.
No.
Honestly, I used to like what's the word? I guess act out. Like my mom would think that I was being like fresh or um was not resilient. What's the word?
Like just rude?
Yeah, it was. I was having anxiety, and I had absolutely no way of understanding the
Mm.
feelings I was feeling. So my body just was like on fire. Like I was on fire.
Mhm.
Like if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. I had a lot of anxiety as a child. Probably more so from my home situation, what was going on at home, and it was just being
And
ignored.
I've been on meds since I'm
Yeah.
18.
Wow. Yeah. See, and um, I kind of they say this is interesting, and I don't know if this is true or not. I've heard it said that anxiety left untreated will eventually turn into depression.
Oh yeah.
And I thought that would, because the anxiety is not on the outside, eventually it turns on the inside. And
When you're done,
yeah.
when you're done, I want to say
No, no,
something
no,
real
go
quick.
ahead.
So I remember I used to say when I was first going through all this, I ended my whole story starts where, like I said, I was younger and I had it, but we didn't know what it was, and it was kind of like like sometimes it was kind of situational. But then when I hit 18, I got something that's called at the time it was called global hysteria, but now it has a different name. It's called global pharyngus.
I've never even heard of
I
this.
A global pharyngus. I felt
Ringus, it
like
sounds like a weird,
it
that's a
sounds
weird
weird,
word.
right?
Yeah.
I felt like there was one day I was 18, right? And I was working and I felt like I couldn't catch my breath. I couldn't breathe. And then all of a sudden I felt like I had a ball, like a blockage in my throat. And I was like choking, like I was choking on nothing. I was like choking on my saliva. Anytime I drank water, I was choking. I didn't know what was going on. So for like a 2 week stint, I lost so much weight because I was literally choking on water. And I was insistent that there was something there. So I went to like every possible doctor. They were sticking, cameras down my throat. I had, ultrasounds, MRI, all this stuff. And then they finally come back and they say to me, Carissa, there's nothing in your throat. There's nothing there. This is
all in your head.
And I was like, what? And I was in, and at that time, because mind you, I'm 18. So this is like 2021? No, 2022. It still wasn't even something that
Well,
anxiety
it
really
wasn't
wasn't even tapped
2022.
on
It wasn't
back then.
2022.
Right.
2022 was like 3 years ago. You mean
No,
2002?
yeah, 2002. Oh my God. 2002.
Okay.
So it really wasn't even talked about really too much then,
Yeah, no, not at
like
all.
it was kind of like people were kind of tapping on it because depression was talked about more. Depression was talked
Mm.
about, but not really anxiety. Anxiety kind of took a back door to it. And so as I'm getting to that other thing, it's just, I got to get there. The, when they told me that I had this and they were like, oh, you need to go on this medicine. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. There's something wrong. I said, you guys, you
Wow.
missed it. Something's wrong. How am I choking on my own? And what ended up happening was because I was getting anxiety and panicking every day. And I had lost I lost like 20 pounds and I was already thin. So I was like really gaunt and thin. And I was getting depressed because I was anxious
Yeah.
every day and I couldn't get a hold of it and I didn't understand what was happening. So what ended up happening was I ended up trying to hurt myself,
Mm.
and I have a small little scar here because as I was doing it, I stopped and I said, what in God's green earth am I doing?
Wow.
I am willing to leave this plane rather than take medicine because I think I'm crazy. This is crazy. So I stopped and I went on the medicine. And after 2 weeks, it was like I was looking through the world through a dirty ass window. And it was like somebody wiped it clean. And I was me again.
Wow.
It was like, it was like, it saved my life. Like it saved my life.
It's wild. I wonder what happened just from like, because I'm a Christian, so I'm just kind of like, what happened in it from a spiritual standpoint in that moment that something spoke to you to be
Something.
like, what the hell are you doing? Do you know what I mean? Because that's usually when you're at that point of desperation, you're
I
not
didn't want
able
to
to
feel,
have
when
that,
I tell you,
yeah.
I remember saying to my mom, like constantly,
Oh my God, your poor mom. Oh,
no, I know. I remember saying to my mom, I just don't want to feel like this
yeah.
anymore. Like, I just want it to stop. Like, and even now, like, I mean, I've been on medicine my entire life.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it keeps me like normal, but I still get panic attacks. I still get anxiety attacks, like in different things,
Yeah.
from different things, especially now with the hormones are changing
Oh
and
my
like all
God,
this stuff.
yeah.
But because I've had it for so long and I've been able to identify some of the things that trigger it, some of the things that help it, knowing that it's going to stop, because at that time, it never felt like it was going to end. Like it just felt like
Yeah.
this was my life. So knowing that when I'm having a panic attack, my body is just like on hyper speed. And I know that in like 10, 15 minutes, my body's going to go, yeah. And it's going to power down and it's going to stop. And I usually end up falling asleep. And then when I wake up, I feel normal again. So
Wow.
I have to like tell myself, Carissa, it's all right. I know it feels horrible. I know you feel like you're dying right now, but it's going to stop. You're not going to feel like that. It's going to end. So now that I have all those like coping mechanisms, all the knowledge that I know that nothing's going to really actually happen to me, I've been able to navigate it better in my life, better in my
Yeah.
life.
Well, and I think this is really, first of all, just thank you for being transparent because I think so many people, there's so much stigma around medication. And I know you don't know too much of my story. The year before I got divorced, I went through severe clinical depression, and I didn't realize it was because I was going through like a very psychologically, emotionally, abusive relationship. I just thought there was something wrong with me. And I did go on medication finally. And I remember because I had my daughter wasn't quite, she was about 2 years old. And I remember being like, I don't care. Like, that's all I felt. I felt like, I don't care. I don't even want to get out of bed. I don't care. And I remember one time being like, Tara, if you don't get out of bed, like, you're going to lose your business. And I was like, I don't care. And I had worked so hard to build that business. And I was like, that's not like me. Like, there was this moment of like, that's not like me. Right. And I went on antidepressant medicine. And I always say it saved my life, because just like you, it was after a couple weeks, I felt like myself again. Mm-hmm. Good and bad. Being myself again is what allowed me to kind of say, wait a minute, here's what's going on at home. This is not, I'm not crazy. I'm not, because I had a lot, if you've ever seen the movie Gaslight from the 40s, that was my life.
Oh my God, yes.
That was my life. My ex-husband would look at me and he would say to me, we didn't have that conversation. You're getting confused again. And I would be like, oh my God, why am I remember things that didn't happen? Or opposite, he'd say, we talked about that. Don't you remember that? And I'd be like, we never talked about that. And he'd go, oh, you're forgetting things again.
Much?
Yeah. No, I actually thought I literally was mentally, like, I thought I was actually going insane.
No, I get,
it was horrible.
I get you from a different standpoint. I actually had never really dealt with narcissism, I guess, like that ever in my life until my last business that I had, my partner. It was just the worst decision of my entire life. I'm doing a podcast.
It's just like I'm doing a podcast. I remember we talked about this a little bit with your business, but yeah.
So I don't want to get too into it because it's a sore subject.
People gaslight you though.
When I tell you they gaslit the ever out of me, they made me feel like I was absolutely insane, and I knew something underhanded and wrong was going on. And I always say this now, especially because everything's all said and done. Like, I overthink, but you know what? I overthink because I am so much more aware of what's going on. Like, I know you. I know when you're off. I know when your energy's off. I know because I'm too in tune. I'm always worried. I'm always thinking. I'm always thinking about other stuff. So they made me think that like all this crap was going on, and I kept questioning myself. I'm like, is it me? Am I really?
I thought it was me.
Yeah. Am I doing this? I know where you're coming from. Yeah. It's a real thing. And like, now that it's all said and done, like, I will never let anybody make me second guess when I know in my heart of hearts when something's not right.
Wow.
Never again.
I think one of the going back to the medication, I think it's very important for people to talk about how medication can help, because unfortunately, I went on it. It was a season, and it really helped me through that season. And I often say, I think if I hadn't gone on medication, I probably wouldn't have been able to get out of that marriage quite openly, which I can't even imagine what would have happened long term. But I think there's so much stigma around that, which is sad because there's a lot of people who
there's so much stigma
even in the Christian. I followed a woman called Sheila Walsh, who she has written a number of books, but she was a Christian who was a very big advocate, like on, I think she was on a television show, all of this. And she ended up literally checking herself into a mental health facility. And they basically told her, there's something spiritually wrong with you. You will lose your career as a Christian if you go on medication, because you should be able to pray your way out of that. Can you imagine? I'm thinking, well, if you had a heart issue, would you say like, oh, you should pray your way out of a heart issue?
There you go. And then that was one of the bigger things that somebody said to me that made me decide, okay, let me go on this medicine. They were like, if you were diabetic, would you just say, no, I'm not diabetic. I'm not going to take insulin. No, you're going to die. You don't take insulin. So like, that made so much sense to me. And I was like, yeah, I guess that,
if your brain chemistry is off, it's off, right?
When I used to have my other boutique, because I had a little bit of backstory, my background is in small business. I had a small business for like 10 years. So I had a little children's boutique. My daughter, I'm an IVF mom as well. I had in vitro for both of my kids. And when I had my daughter, which was my second child, I was excited to put her in like bows and headbands and like all that stuff. And I had a small sprinkle, and I really didn't get that many like headbands and bows. And I was like 8.5 months pregnant. And I said, you know what? I've always been very creative. I love making things beautiful. Like I'm into all that. So I said, let me go to Michael's. I went, I bought a bunch of stuff. I made a couple of things. I posted it on my Facebook. That's when Facebook was like super, super popular. It's still popular, but whatever. But I posted it and people were tagging the photo and they were like, oh my God, can you make me that for my daughter? And I'm like, I guess. And when I tell you it just snowballed from there, Reese's Hair Pieces was born.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
just, because my daughter's name is Reese. Um, so I thought it was cute, Reese's Pieces,
Yeah, it's
Reese's
so
Hair
cute.
Pieces. So I started doing that out of my home. And after 2 years, my house looked like a Chinese sweatshop blew up in it
Oh my
because it was just
gosh.
ridiculous. Because it went from headbands to like, oh, can you make a shirt? Oh, can you make a tutu? Oh, can you make this? And I was always like, I'll give it a try. And if it looks really good, then I can charge you. I'm like, if it doesn't, I'm not going to charge you. Like, this is my first time making it. So, and then from there, my mother-in-law in my town, she has a jewelry business, which she had for like 40, it's going on 40 years or something like that. She had a small little doll store in the back because in like the 90s, they had like a dolls were still very popular. People were still buying like Madame Alexander and like all that jazz. So she had this little doll store that was being like a storage unit. So I was like, if I clean it and I do whatever, can I rent it from you? He was like, sure. So
Oh
I
my
made
gosh.
that and I had that boutique for 8 years. And when I tell you, there was a time that I would literally walk around town and every little kid in my town would have a
Oh, and a
Reese's Hair
Reese's
Pieces
Pieces
bow.
bow. I
I
love
swear to
it.
God. And it had such like a distinct, like my styling was very distinct. Like you looked at it and you were like, oh, that's a Reese's. Like you knew it was mine. So that's what I did. And then the last 2 years, because then it was like we got through COVID and it was like really bad, but we had to close and this is not. The last 2 years, I was trying to keep Reese's alive and I also still wanted to do this other like business that I had this idea that I wanted to do like kind of like a Chelsea Market vibe where like I could help other small businesses and let them rent little spaces
Hmm.
in the boutique to make it look like one big boutique. So that's what the second business was that I did with a partner because at the time I had the other store and I was kind of like, truth be told, imposter syndrome flew in and I was like, I can't
Mm,
do this on my own, but I could have and I didn't
yeah.
and it was a mistake. We closed it. The other one ended up closing, and then I ended up closing. So then that was last year, and that's what actually got me. But everything happens for a reason. That was last year, and when that happened, I was like pretty much. I want to say I was like maybe like 8. That wasn't last year. Was it last year? Yeah, it was last year. So I was like almost 18 months into my growth. My growth, whatever. I said, I'm going to focus on because I've always been. I love being in front of the camera. I love it. When I was a kid, I was in acting. I was a drama kid. I was all that stuff. And then even with my store, I used to do live sales. And sales is my background. I'm huge in it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to focus on my gray hair influencing. I'm going to
Hmm.
do like UGC vote videos. And in the meanwhile, I do substitute teaching right now just to kind of like supplement what I'm doing because I
Yeah.
can't right
Because
now.
we're
I'm
all
not.
gonna come on, guys, get her out of this Nano influencer, okay? Help a girl out. Go find her, follow her. Come on.
So, but if that didn't happen, I don't know if I would have been doing this.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Like at
Yeah.
first I saw it as a bad thing. I was very upset. I felt like my life that for the last 10 years that I knew
Mm.
was completely non-existent and I didn't know what in the hell to do with myself. And still sometimes even now I'm kind of still like, oh, what am I going to do with the rest of the time? I don't have I always thought I'd have my business and then maybe my daughter would work there and you have these ideas of grandeur, when you have whatever. But yeah, I'm glad it happened because I'm doing this. I've met really cool people like you. I went to my first influencer event last week in New
Oh,
York
that's so
City.
exciting.
Like it was really cool. I do get so many people inboxing me, telling me, "Oh, thank you for saying what you say for mental health, for the gray hair. You're helping me through this." And man, if I could just help one person, I
Well,
mean,
and what I love, and you guys, the reason you want to go follow her is because I think that I really do think that one of the things that women are struggling with right now, and one of the reasons I do this podcast is because we've created this culture through social media or wherever where everybody looks like they're so perfect, their kids on the
oh,
honor roll, their house is always great. And I think this is why we all have anxiety and depression, because we're like, I cannot keep up with how
because it's
amazing
comparison.
everybody
You're
else is.
comparing yourself. You can't even help yourself.
It's so ridiculous,
I
but
do it.
I love that you're real. Like we were just talking about Botox. She's literally, I'm watching her and she's like sitting there with like the spots on your face and you're showing where they get, we're openly, let's be real guys. Somebody who's going and becoming an influencer on youth and gray hair isn't going to share that. They're going to be like, oh yeah, no, I naturally look this way. And then you make everybody else feel like
Come
crap. And
on. Yeah,
I
that you
love
give
when
people
people are like,
unrealistic
yeah.
expectations. Come on.
And I would much
I
rather
hate that.
someone be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And this is, but you're right, because it's this pressure of like, oh, then why do I have forehead wrinkles
Sometimes
when
I wear
why does nobody else
beautiful,
have that?
sometimes I wear these beautiful, like big, what do you call it? From insert name here, like gray ponytails. And that was a huge thing for me, like during my transition, because like, as you know, when you're growing out
Well, it's
and you're wearing the hair down, the demarcation line is so much more prevalent. So I would pull it up so it looked like I had more gray, and then I would put the gray ponytail, right?
Oh,
And it helped me.
I want a gray ponytail.
Oh, go to insert name here.
Just because the days like I just don't want to do my hair, right?
That's
Like I'm
right.
thinking I used to have so many hair extension pieces. I threw out hundreds and hundreds of dollars of hair when I let my hair go gray because everything was
Well,
really,
now
really dark. Right.
they're finally doing some for us. Like I
Oh,
had some.
I want some
I'll
hair.
have to send you a couple of the different companies that I've dealt with.
Yes,
But
because I'm scared. Like,
I've
is it good
worn
or
the
fake or
ponytails,
gross?
and people will come up to me like, "Oh my god, your hair is so beautiful." I'm like, "This isn't real." They're like, "What?" I'm like, "My gray hair is real." I'm
Right.
like, "But this is fake." They're like, "Why did you tell me? You could have let me think it was real." I'm like, "Because it looks too friggin' perfect. It's not
Okay, you guys see
perfect."
why I like her? Do you see? Because I would do the same thing. I'd be like, it's not real, lady. Like, it's like,
They would get a kick out of it. And I love the shock value. So I go, if it was on a clip, which it's not
she's
anymore, I'll take it
clipping
out.
her
I'm like,
hair
what?
off.
And they're like, what? I'm like, come on. Like, why? Why? You think I'm going to sit? And for me, if I can let my pony, if I can do that and the ponytail looks all beautiful and curl, do you know how long I'd have to sit here
Yeah,
and do that? I don't got time for that.
yeah.
I got no time.
I remember I was in my early 30s. I was the co-host for a show called Wake Up with Poker. Now I know nothing about playing poker. Let's just be real, guys. I got the
So you
job
had a
because they
real good
wanted me to
poker
sit
face, is
there.
what you're saying?
Yeah. They just wanted me to sit there and kind of like look kind of like pretty and dumb, basically. That's what I was hired for. Let's be real. I literally had like hundreds of dollars of fake hair extensions in my hair. I had the fake
Right.
chicken cutlets boobs with my boobs pushed up so I looked like I had cleavage. I had fake eyelashes. I was like, there is nothing real about me. But if you saw the video, you'd be like, oh, this young, pretty girl, right? It was like, but that's not really what I look like.
So
And I think that's true for so many people, right? Like, that's not really what you look like.
here's something funny. Me and my girlfriends, we get a kick out of it because, like I told you, I'll tell anybody anything. I give zero fucks. I don't care. So I have implants. I had a mommy makeover. I had all this stuff. Like, I don't want people to think like, oh my God, look at her stomach. She looks so good. Yeah, I had help. I had surgical help. But
You're
like,
like, it should look good. Do you know how much I paid for
I
this?
always say, I'm the realest fake girl you ever met. Because I don't give a shit if I have fake stuff, like my fake, whatever, my Botox, which makes me look younger. I'll just tell you, I don't care because I'm not going to sit here and pretend that come on. Like I would see fitness models and things like that after having babies,
Yeah.
and they look fantastic. Then I had this monstrous diastasis. I was working out like a dog, and I couldn't look like that. I'm like, what the hell am I doing different? Then I had my
Yeah.
tummy tuck. I said, ha ha, that's what they did.
Yeah. Well, it's
Come
even
on.
like the photo for the podcast. I redid all my pictures and I had somebody say like, "Oh my God, you look so good." I was like, "AI will make everybody look good."
Come on, like let's be
I was
real.
like, "Thank you. AI is my best friend." Because yeah, like Well, the thing is I could go out and do a ton of photos, but like, do I have the time to do all of that? So I'm like, oh,
No.
I love that AI. Like, it looks like me. It just looks like me on my very best day with the very best lighting, with my
Of
very best
course.
lashes on. That is
Of
how I want to
course,
look,
of course.
right?
And everybody puts, I mean, no matter how you cut it, everyone's going to put out their
Yeah.
best. Even
Yeah.
myself, I'm not sitting here and saying that I don't ever
Like,
like fix some of
filters
my
are my
photos. Of
friend.
course I do. Of
Yes.
course I do. And I always say it. I just
Yeah.
don't do filters that look like a complete, like I'm not trying to catfish anybody. Like I just
Right.
want to look smooth.
I want to
I
look
just want
like
to
me,
look a
but
little
the best
smoother,
me.
a little nicer. I don't want to look like when you see me in person, you're like, Jesus, that's not
Yeah.
her. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So like everybody
Yeah,
does
I
that.
have had that. I've had some people where, like,
Oh,
we've
I
been
know
on
some
LinkedIn
people.
and stuff, and then they'll show up at a networking event, and I'm like,
Who is that?
I don't think that. Yeah, that's
Right.
that's. I used to say that with online dating. People would always put like their very, very best photos, and I'm like, that is a bad strategy. You want your best, but not quite best photos, because you don't want to show up and the guy be like, oh,
That's not
oh, she's not
her. Yeah.
right. You want him to be like, oh, she's even better looking than I thought. Right?
Right.
That's the attitude you want. I was always like, that is
Exactly.
a poor strategy, folks. Put your almost not quite the best photos.
Like in my stories a lot, sometimes and I'm a habitual uh filter user sometimes. And I say it. I'll be like, yeah, I got my filter on because
Oh
I
yeah.
when I'm talking, you know what? It's almost like the filters are almost not even for like them. It's for me because
Yeah.
I'm so nitpicky that when I'm talking, I don't want to be
Yeah.
focusing on something else that I'm like, oh, I don't like the way that looks. So I
Yeah.
do it for me. But then there's times I'll just go no filter and be like, all right, guys, look, this is me. This is it. Like, when I was
Well,
showing the Botox.
I think the issue is because I love filters, and I like, because particularly ones that more like airbrush you out a little bit. I don't mean
Right.
like a filter that's changing your features, but I love a good airbrush. I
Yeah.
think the issue becomes that it's like the gray hair, right? You could
It's true.
post a picture of you as a natural picture, but when everybody else's photo, like either not only Photoshop but filtered, all of a sudden your natural doesn't look natural. Your
Right.
natural looks like crap,
The
right?
brain is like
Yeah,
reprogrammed to assume because that's what you're always constantly.
seeing,
That
right.
totally makes sense.
Yeah.
100%.
And so it's kind of like, because within the skincare industry and stuff, and people saying, oh, I want an age graceful. And you're like, well, you can, except that now, because people use so much stuff, what looks great, you might think you look like a normal 65-year-old, but people are going to think you look 10, 15 years older because
Right.
everybody else is doing, A, B, and C to look younger.
And
I
now you
remember
got the
when I was,
quiet facelift, which everyone's getting in their 40s now. So
ooh, a
everyone
quiet
looks
facelift. I don't
a
know what that
quiet
is.
face. Well, did you not see Lindsay Lohan?
Mm-mm.
Her
But
transformation?
she doesn't look like the same person anymore.
Well, she looks like, yeah, true. Well, she was, well,
I
I
mean,
don't
I
want to
don't know.
talk
That
bad
one
about
I thought
anybody.
was a
I
little
don't
bit
know her,
dramatic.
but I know she had like substance problems and stuff like
Okay.
that. So that's why she looked the way she looked at one point. But like people are getting it in their 40s now, late 40s now, so that they're not waiting till they're like 70 to get their facelifts.
Oh.
They're getting it earlier so that and truth be told, that's something I eventually would like to do.
Like to do.
Yeah.
I like have this thing going on with my jawline that I noticed that I don't like so much, but I'm one of those I'm an outlier. Every single time I've had a surgery or a procedure done where they go, oh, that doesn't happen to anybody, you don't need to
Oh,
worry about it, I'm that one.
I,
That's why I'm
I had
scared.
a couple of bad situations myself, so
Yeah,
I get
that's
where you're
why
coming
I'm
from.
scared. I'm like, I am scared to do anything because
You
I
want to
would
make it
be.
worse.
And it's not that, again, like, I'm not against the Botox. It freaks me out a little bit because I'm like, what if I end up like, half the face? Like, I'd
Yeah,
be the one who has the,
you have to go. You have to really know who you're going to. Like you
yeah,
really do. You
like,
really have to. And for me, I mean, I really know him. He's my stepfather. So
oh, so you're in a
like,
good person. Yeah. Well, maybe,
so
okay, so that's it. I think if I finally cross
if you
that
ever
path,
do,
I will call
I'll let
you.
you know. And he does come to your home. He can come to your home depending on where you are. So it could be in the comfort of your own
To be
home. You feel a
like,
little more
because I like the
comfortable.
idea of this. And
And
I have said, I
he
have been known to say, I'm comfortable with my gray hair now, but maybe if my face catches up with my hair, I'll change my mind.
I've always said when I grew out the gray, I know this is going to sound absolutely horrible, but look, it's what I've said, and I'm not going to take it back. I grew out the gray. I said, if my hair might be gray, but my face gonna look young.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, like, good know, right now, because I am 40. Like
Yeah.
obviously when I get to be like 70 or whatever, I'm not going to make myself crazy. I'm
I don't know.
70.
Back then, I'm hoping
You
they're going to
know.
have so many easy things that we can do at home.
Yeah,
Like, who
maybe.
knows what they'll have at 70? We'll be
Who
70 will be
knows?
the new
Who
30. We'll
knows?
be like, woohoo, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll be down for that. Well, we
I'm
have talked
glad
for,
I
I think
did.
the longest, this is crazy, guys. I think this is the longest podcast I have done, and we never even got to a question.
Oh my God, ask your questions.
So we're not going to do a question. We just have an
This is why you
interesting
can't do this with
person.
somebody you don't know.
Yeah,
Because
no, this
we're
is
just going to
great.
keep talking. That's the problem.
This is great. And I knew it was going to be an easy conversation with you. But guys, here's what I want you to do. First of all, I would love to hear people's thoughts on the gray hair, the premenopause. Like, what part are you like relating to? Because part of this podcast is to help women feel like we're not alone. Life right now, sometimes, at least for me, feels like a dumpster fire, and you just have to kind of laugh at it. Like, it's the world has become absurd. But also go follow Carissa. I want to be able to come back and be like, remember when you were, have you back on and be like, remember you were a Nano influencer and we were talking about that. And now she's got like 1 million people following her on TikTok and influencer and big brands. And because I think that, again, guys, women who are willing to put themselves out there, we need young women following people like her who are willing to say, yes, I'm doing Botox. Yes, I'm doing a mommy makeover. Like, we want young women hearing from women like that who are being transparent versus the people who are like, oh no, I eat whatever I want and I still am a size 4. And you're like, no, you don't, liar. So we want to support women who are being like this, and that's what she's doing. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate that for all the examples that you're setting and inspiring more women to go gray, because really there were a couple of influencers that I found. Now, this was before the pandemic. I went gray long before the pandemic, but there were a few influencers, Mindy being one of them, and a few other ones that were just these beautiful gray-haired women. And they inspired me that if she could look good, then maybe I could. Right. And I think more women
that's what Miranda did
will be inspired by you. And that's what we need to do, because, guys, gray, it's just a color, really. That's all it is. It's just a color, like blonde, red, brown. It's just a color.
Quick note, it's actually not a color.
With no color. I guess that is no color at all.
It's transparent.
Oh.
I just did a video on
I have to go watch your video now.
Polar bear
oh, I saw your video with the polar bear hair. And I was like, this is bullshit.
It's hollow and transparent. And so is ours. That's why your gray looks different in different lights. Sometimes it looks brighter and darker. It's
Guys,
not
now
really
I'm like
gray.
Hair on my head. Now I have to like go pull hair on my hair to go see that it's transparent. It does, because in different light, doesn't it look like
totally different?
Totally different
Sometimes
colors.
my gray looks like super icy. Sometimes it looks kind of yellow in certain lights. Sometimes it looks like I have more brown. It's because the hair is hollow. So depending on how the light hits it, like, well, just look how I am right now. And then let me bring this. Look at how.
Oh, yeah.
It looked from here. I look like my hair's brown.
And it looks really, well, sometimes I notice mine will look a lot more white than other times.
Yeah.
That's based on the light. I have hollow hair. Okay. You guys have to go find her video on the polar bear. It was why I literally was like, she's bullshitting us. This can't be real. I knew you weren't, but I was like, how can this be real?
What did the person write? Somebody wrote, you're saying believable things, but I don't believe it.
See, I had the opposite. I was like, you're saying unbelievable things, but I tend to believe you because you say the truth about everything. But how can this be real? Like, yeah. So you guys have to go find polar bears are actually translucent.
Yeah.
Well, comment, subscribe, help a girl out. Leave me a review. We're trying to get those reviews. Who knew it was going to be that hard to have somebody do a review, dude? Leave a review. Unless you don't like us, then don't leave a review.
Don't leave a review, right?
But everybody else leave a review, and I will be back next week with another interesting conversation. Well, an irrelevant conversation for sure, but an interesting person. So thank you, Carissa, so much for
thank
being
you so much. I had a great time talking to you.
Bye, everybody.